Apple dropped 3 new iPhone models: the iPhone 17, the iPhone 17 Pro, and the all-new iPhone 17 Air. This is my take on all 3 models. Hey there folks, my name is Adrian with Project Ramos. I'm a tech enthusiast and I love to review tech and talk about tech on this channel. So without further ado, let's jump into today's topic. Let's begin with the iPhone 17, the base model. Now, as usual, you can expect upgrades in terms of performance. So that's exactly what they're doing with this new 17 base model. With the A19 chip, you're going to get a boost in performance. But one of the cool things they added to the base model is the variable refresh rate up to 120 hertz, which they're calling ProMotion. What that's going to do is make the phone feel snappier, more fluid, and the fact that it can go from 1 hertz all the way up to 120 hertz is going to help with battery life. And the thing about that is that feature was on the Pro models, but now it's on the base model. So you're also going to notice in gaming, if you're into gaming on your phone, that the graphics are going to be a lot more fluid at 120 hertz. The screen also gets an upgrade and it's brighter now. It goes up to 3000 nits. So when you're outside in bright daylight, you'll be able to see the screen better than you have before on the base models. The camera system in the back has 2 lenses and they're both 48 megapixels, which is going to produce really clean photos as we've seen with previous models. Now, one of the standout features is the front-facing camera. It's now 18 megapixels, so your photos and videos from the front camera are gonna have better quality. But the new feature that they're calling Center Stage, I think, is the standout feature that is on the base model, Pro model, and the new Air model. And basically, the shape of the sensor behind the lens is square. So now you don't have to move the phone horizontal to take a horizontal photo. You can just keep it upright. You're not going to lose any quality, but you now can easily switch from vertical to horizontal orientation. And then the fact that the camera is smart enough to be able to detect other people in the photo, so it will automatically reformat to be able to fit everyone in the photo. So I really think that out of all the features they introduced, this is one of the most standout features, especially because the majority of people use that front camera more than anything else, whether you are just an everyday user or a techie person. Doesn't matter what type of user you are, that front camera is probably the most used part of the phone in terms of features. And then also the base model starts at 256 gig storage, which I think should be standard at this point. Now let's talk about iPhone 17 Pro. iPhone 17 Pro has the A19 Pro chip, which obviously is going to give you more performance over previous models. Apple also re-engineered the thermals on the 17 Pro with what they're calling vapor chamber cooling. And without getting into all the specifics of that, basically, if it does keep the phone cooler than previous models, then that means it can sustain high performance longer than it was able to before. The 17 Pro is also redesigned, so they moved some of the electronics up, which is why the where the camera array is at, that's why it goes all the way across, because it moves some of the electronic pieces up into that area. That way it opens up more space for battery. So it does have a larger battery, which should result in longer battery life compared to older models. Of course, that's yet to be seen, but if it does have a larger battery, it should definitely mean longer battery life. So with the new unibody, what they're calling the unibody aluminum design, it allows for a larger battery, better cooling in terms of thermals. So it's an improved design. Now the camera system on the new Pro, you get 3 lenses on the back. What's nice about the 3 lenses now is that they're all 48 megapixels. So no matter which one you choose, you're going to get the same resolution quality out of all 3. And with the 3 combined, you effectively get 8 focal lengths out of the array. So the camera system is definitely upgraded compared to the older models, and it has some additional features if you're a filmmaker. Now, as I mentioned when we were talking about the base model, the Pro also has the new upgraded front-facing camera, 18 megapixel with the center stage feature, which I really think is the standout feature across all 3 phones. Now, the wild card release of the bunch is the 17 Air. This is a super thin iPhone model, thinner than any of the other models they've released in the past. And we've seen Apple go down this path before where they're making everything thinner. That didn't always mean better. Apple doesn't talk about why they chose to make a Air model of the iPhone. So my guess is through their market research, they're probably seeing that there is a market for people that would appreciate a super thin phone where it feels kind of futuristic to hold. In addition to that, I think also what might be pushing Apple towards this direction is this whole thing about folding phones. Because if you think about it, as thin as it is, if you were to make a folding phone, you could literally, if you could fold this phone in particular, it's so thin that the combined thickness of it folded would be roughly around the same thickness as the Pro model. It could be Apple's way of kind of priming the customer base to the thinness of the display, and also maybe to get some feedback once it's out in the wild. So this could be a precursor to the folding version of the iPhone that could be coming. We just don't know about that yet. The other thing is that there is a market for something that just looks different than what everyone else has. And so far, the iPhone is a mature product. So design-wise, at first glance, you're not going to see a big difference between all the different models. However, engineering-wise, they make leaps and bounds every year, but you can't see that. Those are internal features. But physically, the iPhone is a mature product, so it's not really changing a whole lot. And some people look at that as Apple is not able to come up with new designs. And the fact of the matter is, I personally don't really. I like the design that's out now, so I'm not one of those people that are looking for a completely different design. And so I think the Air is going to have a market with those type of people, the ones that want to have the latest and greatest, but also where you can physically see that they have the latest and greatest iPhone. Some people are really into that. Apple, as a design company, a lot of, most of their products, it's kind of like a jewelry piece. There's something really nice about owning an Apple product because of their design aesthetics. And so with the Air, I think there is going to be a market of those people that are going to want the Air for its sleek design, but also to be able to carry it around and someone looks at it and instantly knows, oh, that's the new iPhone. Versus, let's say, the 17 or 17 Pro, where you really got to look at the details to see like, oh, that's the new 17, So there's going to be that market. And also, how thin this phone is, it's kind of like an engineering flex from Apple. Just to let not just the people know, its customer base know that Apple is able to produce products that are an engineering feat. It's also a flex on the competition. The design of the phone, the performance of the phone. I mean, this thing has the A19, I think it has the A19 Pro chip. This thing, on paper, is going to be able to perform just like the iPhone 17 Pro. However, it's super thin. So it's kind of like what Apple's doing with like, let's say, the iMac. How thin the new or they're not so new anymore, but the latest iMac, how thin they are because of the fact that they're using Apple Silicon now, for the CPUs. So they're able to make these things super thin, but still great computers. And then we look at like the latest Mac Mini. You're talking about a tiny computer that is super powerful. And why is that? It's because of the Apple Silicon. So I kind of think that iPhone 17 Air is exactly that. It's kind of like a flex. And to remind everyone that Apple is still able to come up with some designs that could be in some ways considered almost impossible. So only time will tell if this new redesign is going to be a hit or not. So personally, it's not my cup of tea. I'd rather go with either the regular 17 or the 17 Pro. That thin design is just not something that I'm looking for personally, but I do know several people in my circle that would appeal to the 17 Air, my wife being one of them. She loves the new features, loves to know that the new features are there, but above all, the aesthetic. I asked her about this, the aesthetic of it being a super thin phone and feeling futuristic and all of that is what appeals to her. So I know there's going to be a pretty good market out there. Now, how much of a market is yet to be seen. So we'll see if it's going to be a hit in terms of units sold and dollars made on that one. But it's definitely really cool to see Apple doing something out of the norm, so to speak. Just as I was about to wrap up this video, my camera overheated and shut off, so I had to wait a little while for it to cool off, and so I can finish this video. In summary, I think what Apple has done with these new iPhones is definitely an upgrade depending on which iPhone you have currently. Now, as far as recommending whether or not you should upgrade from whatever iPhone you have right now, that's a tough question to answer because a smartphone is a very personal item that we all have because it's an extension of ourselves. All of our private information, whether it be videos, photos, contact information, text messages, emails, everything's on that device, everything that's personal to you. So there's that aspect of it. The other aspect of it is that everybody uses their phone in different ways. Some people, the back cameras are really important. Other people, the front camera is really important. Some people don't care about that stuff at all. Some people are running apps that are very processor intensive, and some people are just running the regular, social media apps and email apps and stuff that doesn't really need a lot of horsepower. So it really is at an individual basis in terms of if enough reason for you to upgrade to the new 17. Now, if you're a pro user and you are shooting in ProRes log and taking advantage of those features, then definitely, the 17 Pro is a great choice. But again, it depends on which one you have now, because the 16 Pro, 15 Pro, those are very capable phones. So if it's just something that you use once in a while, maybe you don't need to upgrade. Or if you use it heavily, maybe this upgrade makes sense. And on the other hand, if you're just a casual user, that nothing crazy, the regular 17 has a lot of premium features on it. So it's a great choice if you're up for an upgrade. So again, it really depends on where you're coming from. Me personally, I have a 14 Pro. I've been holding off. I may be going to the 17 Pro. I'm not sure yet. But one thing I do know for sure is that the 17 Air is not for me. The not so much the features, but that design just, I don't know, it doesn't appeal to me. So whether or not you should upgrade, it's a very personal choice. That's why I wanted to make this video, to be able to point out the features that I think you're going to notice by going to the new 17 lineup, whether it's the baseline, the Pro, or the Air. Outside of that, everything else, whether or not you see a difference depends on your use case scenario. But nonetheless, I do like what Apple is doing here. I do like the direction they're headed in, and I'm very curious where they're going to go next after this iPhone Air. All right, folks, that's going to do it for me for this video. Let me know in the comments if you're considering upgrading your phone, and if you are considering, which phone do you currently have, and what is pulling you towards upgrading. I'm really curious to know your thoughts. And on that note, I will see you on the next video.